I don't know about many of you, but for me, in my personal life, I didn't always have my stuff together. It took me a while, and I'm still working on getting it together. But one of the biggest lessons that I learned during the course of my existence in this life is about distractions. I mean, a lot of you have heard or know what a distraction is. A distraction is something that takes you away from your goal or off course, or it removes you from where you thought you were supposed to be. It's only sometimes when you realize you're not where you're supposed to be that you realize that you were distracted. But how many of you realize that the biggest distraction for many people is people? Yeah, relationships. Relationships are a distraction or can be a distraction. Think about this. When you're in a relationship, how much of your focus goes towards the other person, or how much of that focus goes towards you? And how many of us have the ability to do 50-50? You know, you focus 50% on this person, 50% of energy on yourself. Even your children can be a distraction. Trust me. You're on course, you have goals, you set, these tremendous amount of to-do list for yourself, and then your children show up and you can't get anything done, and you can't get anything done in the time that you set for yourself to get it done. Yeah, people are the biggest distraction. And you can't live in this world without people. So how do you deal with that distraction? Well, today I propose to you that the first thing to recognize about the distraction is that you need to know it is a distraction. In my life, I did not know that the thing I was dealing with at the time was a distraction. It's only after it was gone, only after it left a pathway of chaos, or a path that was, riddled with all kind of trouble and pain and heartbreak, that I realized that that person wasn't really a distraction, and that I allowed them to distract me. That's the other thing. You have to take accountability. You can't just say the thing or the person is a distraction without taking accountability and recognizing that you're the person that allowed the distraction to go on in the first place, or you're the one that entertained it and didn't put an end to it. That's some hard truth right there, right? How many people can stop themselves or prevent themselves from being pulled headlong into a relationship without stopping at some point and saying, you know what? This is not going to go well. I need to stop it now. For those of you who have that ability to stop it in its tracks and not be led down a path where you're off course, it's admirable and I commend you. But for most of us, most people don't realize it's a distraction. All of a sudden, this thing comes. It may seem like it's good fortune. And then after it leaves, you realize it wasn't good fortune at all. It's like at Christmas, you get a gift that is under the tree, you unwrap the gift, and you want to put the gift back on and put the wrapping paper back on really quickly because you don't want the gift. That's how distractions show up in our lives. A lot of times we are not prepared for the distraction, and a lot of times we don't even recognize it's a distraction. So for me, I had to learn how to, start recognizing the distractions before I became too distracted. That's the key. The key is to recognize the distraction before it takes you off course. So let's talk today about how you do that. How do you recognize a distraction? First of all, if you're on path, if you have your goals set, if you have a routine set, if you used to jog, if you used to go running, if you used to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and then this person is in your life, and now you're going to work at 11 o'clock instead of 7, or you stop running because you want to accommodate that person, or you're on that person's time, or you're distracted by that person's routine or that person's problems, and the cake could go on and on forever. The point is, you need to recognize when you are taken off course before you get too far off course, because a distraction is not going to manifest until you're at a point where you realize something is wrong here. Something is wrong with this relationship. Something is wrong with the relationship that I have with myself. And that's the other part of the be recognizing that is a distraction. If the distraction is taking you away from yourself or from your core, if it's disrupting your activity, if it's disrupting the goals you have set for yourself, then you know that it's a distraction. So yeah, it's one thing to recognize as a distraction. What do you do once you recognize it's a distraction? Now, isn't that the age-old question? It's never easy, especially in relationships, to just say, you know what, this is a distraction. I'm done. I don't want you to distract me anymore. If you're married, that's a viable thing. You can say that to your partner, and you can start, streamlining your life again and following your outlined tasks or your outlined goals. But it's never that easy. When the distraction is still part of your life, it's very difficult to get on course and stay on course unless you're very disciplined. If you're disciplined, then it makes life easy. But for most people, they become invested in the distraction. The distraction takes them over. The distraction invades their space. And now all they see is a distraction. They're not focused on themselves. Getting off course is part of being distracted. You need to make certain commitments to yourself. You need to commit to not getting off course or recognizing when you are off course. Set things in place. Like for me, I have friends and I'll call friends and say, this is the case, this is what's happening. Can you hold me accountable? Do that if you don't trust yourself. Or it's not a matter of not trusting yourself, but it's a matter of putting techniques in place to make sure that you don't get too far off course. Okay, I recognize this about this person I met. I recognize that they're taking me off course, and I don't want to go too far off course. I want to monitor the situation, and self-monitoring is good. But at the end of the self-monitoring, the only thing that matters with the distraction is action. You have to take action. You have to decide that your value and your worth and your goals and your direction and the goals that you've set for yourself are more important than getting distracted or taken off course by someone else. People are a distraction. Your children can be a distraction. Your husband or wife can be a distraction. Not hurting their feelings is not a thing. You can't hurt their feelings so that you can stop the distraction. You need to discuss it openly and admit to that person, I'm the person here at fault. I'm the person who is being distracted. It's nothing you're doing to me, but it's how I'm responding to what is being done. Accountability. Don't try to blame the other person because you're distracted. Don't try to make excuses or play the victim because that person, you follow that person down a rabbit hole and now you can't get back out of the rabbit hole. There's always accountability involved in recognizing distractions and taking action as far as the distraction goes. Distraction is a part of life. We get distracted by just walking the street and seeing a squirrel going up a tree or seeing a duck on a pond. Our minds are not trained to constantly just like this, to have blinders on as a horse. And for us, we need to have blinders on sometimes. So what I'm saying is those times when you need those blinders, recognize that you have to shut out the distraction totally. But there are other times when you're going to have to deal with a distraction and just be strong. Be strong because you recognize it as a distraction. That's half the battle. Half the battle is knowing what you're up against. Half the battle is recognizing something and having the recourse to deal with it. If you don't know what's going on, it makes life really difficult to get up and to get back on that horse. So today, try to recognize if the thing in your life that has taken you off course is indeed a distraction. If it is a distraction, then you owe it to yourself to no longer be distracted. Try it. Try recognizing it first and then try and addressing the issue by your action, by determining that you will not allow it to distract you anymore by taking you off course. My name is Ingrid Felton. Thank you so very much for visiting the YouTube channel today. I always like to leave these gold nuggets for you. I hope you get something of value from them. Visit my my website, thejourneyoftruth.com, for more information on me. Please subscribe to the videos, like the videos, and your comments are always welcome. Again, today is a day that you recognize that you are distracted. And if you are, it's time to do something about it.